The Galactic Academy's orientation hall buzzed with the chatter of 100 different species. Grace stood near the back, her human frame dwarfed by towering Valorians and crystalline Zephrites. She'd grown accustomed to the stairs. Humans were still a novelty in the greater galactic community, their recent admission to the Confederation having occurred only 3 cycles ago. Her sleeves were rolled up to her elbows, revealing the patchwork of scars that decorated her forearms. Burns from a camping accident, cuts from climbing trees, a jagged line from when she'd fallen off her bike at 12. Each mark told a story of survival on Earth, the planet the galaxy had classified as a Class 12 Deathworld. "Is that damage?" a voice hissed behind her. Grace turned to find Carveth, a Sularian whose chitinous blue exoskeleton gleamed under the hall's bioluminescent lighting. His mandibles clicked with what she'd learned was their equivalent of laughter. Several other students had gathered around him, their attention now fixed on Grace. "Your epidermis appears compromised," Carveth continued, his multifaceted eyes scanning her arms with undisguised disgust. "Were you involved in an industrial accident?" "On civilized worlds, we have medical technology to prevent such disfigurement." Grace's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. The Galactic Academy's handbook had been clear. Humans were to be ambassadors of their world, representatives of a species still proving itself worthy of its place among the stars. "Perhaps Deathworlders are simply too primitive to heal properly," Carveth announced to his growing audience. He moved closer, his 3-meter frame looming over Grace's modest height. "Tell me, human, do you shed your damaged skin like the lower reptilians? Or do you simply wear your failures permanently?" A hand landed on Carveth's shoulder, firm but not aggressive. "That's enough," Ezra said quietly. Grace's fellow human had materialized from the crowd. Where Grace bore her scars openly, Ezra's were hidden beneath his uniform, though Grace knew they were there. Everyone from Earth carried them. It was the price of living on a world that actively tried to kill its inhabitants. Carveth's mandibles spread wide, a Solarian threat display. "Another Deathworlder. How quaint. Do you also bear the marks of your world's inadequacy?" "Actually," Ezra said, his voice carrying a dangerous calm that made Grace tense. "Those marks you're mocking? They're why you should be very, very careful right now." The Sularian laughed, a chittering sound that echoed through the suddenly quiet hall. "Are you threatening me? You realize Solarian exoskeletons can withstand pressures that would crush your fragile bones?" "Our strength is impressive, I'm sure," Ezra interrupted. "But you've made a fundamental error in judgment. You see those scars on Grace? Each one represents a time Earth tried to kill her. And she's still standing here." Carveth's laughter faltered slightly. Grace felt something shift in the air. Other humans in the hall had begun to move closer, forming a loose perimeter. Their expressions weren't angry. They were calculating. "Let me educate you about Deathworlds," Ezra continued, his tone taking on the quality of a teacher addressing a particularly slow student. "Earth has megafauna that hunt in packs, weather systems that can level cities, microscopic organisms that wage war inside our bodies daily, gravity that would make most species in this room struggle to stand. We evolved alongside apex predators. We are apex predators." He gestured to Grace's scars. "These aren't marks of failure. They're badges of survival. Every human in this room has them. We call them scars because on Earth wounds that should kill us don't. Our bodies knit themselves back together. Imperfectly, perhaps, but functionally." Grace watched Carveth's posture shift, his threat display wilting as understanding began to dawn in his compound eyes. "Grace got that burn." Ezra pointed to a silvery patch on her forearm. "From pulling her younger brother out of a fire. She has scars on her knees from learning to navigate Earth's terrain before her bones fully hardened. Yes, our skeletons literally harden as we age. That line on her shoulder? A fall that would have killed most species you'd consider civilized." She was unconscious for 30 seconds, then walked it off. The hall had gone completely silent now. "Earth doesn't have safety protocols built into its environment," another human voice called out, a girl named Sarah. "We invented those. We had to. Our children play on structures that simulate fatal falls," added Marcus, a stocky human with a crooked nose that had clearly been broken and healed incorrectly. "For fun. We consume toxins recreationally," Grace finally spoke, her voice steady. "Alcohol that would poison most species. Capsaicin that triggers pain responses because we enjoy it. We bite into prey with our own teeth. Carveth had begun backing away, but the circle of humans had tightened imperceptibly. You wanted to know about these scars? Grace continued, rolling her sleeves higher to reveal more of the roadmap of survival etched into her skin. Fine, I'll tell you. But first you need to understand something about humans and respect. She stepped forward. Carveth, for all his size and armored exterior, flinched. We don't demand respect through strength, Grace said softly. We earn it through surviving what shouldn't be survivable. Every human here has walked through fire, some literally. We've broken bones and kept walking. We've fought infections that our own bodies waged wars against. We've stared down predators and made them blink first. Ezra moved to stand beside Grace, and the other humans formed up behind them. Not threatening, but unified. You mocked her scars, Ezra said. You called them failures. But let me tell you what the Galactic Confederation's xenobiologists discovered when they first visited Earth. Humans have a stress response that floods our bodies with chemicals that increase our strength, numb our pain, and sharpen our focus. Your people call it the Deathworld response, and we call it adrenaline. He smiled. And it wasn't friendly. And right now, Carveth, you've triggered it in every human in this room. The Solarian's exoskeleton had paled to a sickly gray blue. Around the hall, other alien species had begun edging away from the confrontation, some reaching for communication devices. Carveth's voice modulator crackled. I apologize. I spoke in ignorance. Grace studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Apology accepted. But Carveth? On Earth we have a saying, don't start fights you can't finish. She extended her scarred hand. Carveth stared at it, understanding finally settling over him. With trembling appendages, he reached out and grasped her hand in the human gesture of peace. The handshake lasted exactly 3 seconds, long enough for Carveth to feel the calluses, the old wounds, the evidence of a lifetime surviving on a world that showed no mercy. When Grace released him, Carveth turned and walked quickly toward the exit, his entourage scattering before him. Ezra bumped Grace's shoulder gently. You okay? Grace looked down at her arms, at the history written there in silvered lines and patches of discolored skin. Yeah, she said, a smile tugging at her lips. I'm good. As the hall slowly returned to its normal buzz of conversation, the other species gave the humans a wider berth, not out of fear exactly, but out of a newfound understanding. The humans from the Deathworld had just taught their first lesson at the Galactic Academy. Respect isn't given. It's earned, and they'd earned theirs long before they ever left Earth. Grace rolled her sleeves back down, but she did so slowly, deliberately, ensuring everyone saw. Let them look. Let them remember. After all, these weren't just scars. They were proof that humanity had earned its place among the stars.